Good evening, or should I say late night. Good late night to you. I don't think I've ever come on this late at night, maybe on New Year's Eve or something like that. Hopefully, I won't be on here by myself tonight, but I wanted to address this issue. Hopefully, my signal is good. I'll wait to see before I get started. Um, I'm in a hotel, so you know how that goes. Okay, how's my signal? Is my signal good? I wanted to get this out tonight. I haven't talked to you all in a while um, because we have plans tomorrow night. I really wanted to talk to you tonight and tomorrow night, but you know how it goes. Well, it looks like I'm doing all right. I want to deal with this, and I think that this is a very important subject matter. None of my devices are charged. It looks like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong with this one tonight. But we're gonna see what we can make of it. I want to talk about the tragedy of a woman attaching her value to her relationship. The tragedy of a woman attaching her value to her relationship. I believe um, with all of my heart that one of the key signs of what I call broken consciousness in my book, Queenology, and the Queenology online program, million and one videos on YouTube. Those of you that may not be able to afford my book or can't afford the online programs, which they are extremely cheap, you can just kind of go through my videos that are all over YouTube, and you'll basically get the same message. I believe that one of the key signs of a woman who is struggling with broken consciousness is the over exaggeration of her so called relationship. She needs a relationship not for the right reasons that a woman would need a relationship or desire a relationship, because I believe if you need a relationship, you really don't need a relationship. If you're in a position where you feel like you need a relationship, it really, in my opinion, signifies that your relationship with your creator and your relationship with yourself, your self-awareness, your God awareness and your self-awareness are lacking. If you're in a posture where you just, the world is going to end if you don't have a man, and why am I addressing this directly at women? It's because women struggle with this more so than men. I haven't found a man that said, well, life is over if I don't get a woman. I haven't found one yet. If I don't have a woman, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lose my mind. I haven't had that conversation with a man yet. I've had brothers say, Pastor, I want a wife, but I ain't never had no man say, what is my what is my life's purpose? What am I here for? I just feel like nothing. I've had those conversations with women, and that's the product of what? Broken consciousness. That's what is broken consciousness. It's when the world and society pounds the message into your head that you are less than, you are lacking, you're void of something, you're less valuable if you don't have a man. And it becomes, to be quite honest with you, it becomes the drumbeat of toxic men to 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 subconsciously, subliminally send this message to you. You need a man, you need a relationship, because if you don't have a relationship, you're not as valuable. And what is the purpose of that? The purpose of that is to make you a slave to the idea that my worth and my value are hinged to my connection to a man. We're born in the world as individuals. We die as individuals. If you're not prepared to live your life as an individual, you will be enslaved by this toxic society. You have to, as a woman or a man, you have to be in a place where you find your fulfillment in the thing that the Creator made you to be and do. That's where your fulfillment comes from. Your fulfillment is not going to come from a man. My wife is on the other side of the wall in the room there. Her fulfillment does not come from our marriage. Because any day I could lose my mind and say, okay, I don't want to be married no more. I'm about to run wild any day. Because you can't control, you can't make nobody else do anything or be what you need them to be. Any day, let's say I don't have that kind of moral lapse. Let's just say, well, I just died prematurely. Just this week, last week, a friend of mine, we grew up together. He's dead. He's around my age. He's dead. He's gone. Well, I'm not exempt from those things. If her sense of value and worth is attached to me, is she going to bury her value or bury her worth if something happened to me? If I decide to leave and walk out, when I walk out the door and the door slams behind me, did her value just walk out? This is a very toxic way of thinking. And the unfortunate thing, my sisters, is that there are far too many of you who are thinking like this. And it is a recipe for poor mental health. If you allow your value to be hinged to your relationships, it is a recipe for poor mental health. You will drive yourself into, for lack of another way of saying it, I'm trying to think of it, poor mental health. Now, so we all have to be prepared in this life to be born as an individual. Even if you were born a twin, you were born as an individual with another individual. To live as an individual, open to creating a covenant with another individual, and to die as an individual. Now, the true value of a person, is never in conjunction with another person. That's not the way the Creator set this thing up. I didn't need Lisa to bring value to me, for me to be valuable. Now, there's a difference between having a mindset that I need a person to bring value to me versus, connecting with someone that adds value. Did you hear what I said? There's a difference between having a mindset, of I need someone to bring value, to give me value, versus two people connecting to add value. The Bible says two are better than one because they have a good reward and a higher return on their labor, because the two valuable entities join together, they add value to one another. But I don't need anybody to make me valuable. You as a woman, you don't need a man to be deemed valuable. Now, let me just get on with it now. And the sad thing is, the toxic brothers that would promote this, they don't have much work to do, because you sisters promote this lie among yourselves, and you look at one another as though you're less than because you don't have a man. And the one that's judging the one that doesn't have a man, she got a little situationship that she's trying to front and present it as though she has a real relationship. But the reality is she ain't got nothing but a pimp. He ain't doing nothing but pimping you. In most cases. Because there are, and I need you to hear this clearly, there are some great men. Anybody that says there are no great men, you're just broken. You need some healing. You've been fishing in the same pond too long. And you just, there are some great guys. But a lot of women who are pushing other women to believe that somehow you're less valuable because you don't have a man to take pictures with, man, that's one of the worst disservices you could do to the sisterhood, is to run around pressuring sisters to believe that they got to get a man to be accepted by or accepted in y'all's so-called circle. That's sad. When you don't recognize all that is packaged in this woman as an individual, and you either directly or subliminally suggest to her your value would be greater if you had a man. All of us got to be prepared to live as individuals in life. No man is guaranteed to get a wife. No man is guaranteed to have a wife. No woman is guaranteed to have a husband. So if you don't have a husband, that makes life, pointless? Is that the only reason you think the Creator made you? You had a purpose before. In fact, let me watch this here. If you look in Jeremiah 1:4-5, it says, "Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." What's the message in that text? Before you even entered the world, God already had a purpose on your life. Your individual purpose has nothing to do with who you marry. Hopefully, you're wise enough to be equally yoked, married to someone that is going to complement your purpose and not strangle it. But your purpose for existing has nothing to do with your relational status. God gave you an individual purpose before you even took your first breath. So if you come into this world with all of this God-ordained purpose in you, and the world convinces you that it ain't worth nothing if I ain't got a man, if I don't have a husband, if I don't have that's broken consciousness in its greatest form. Now, broken consciousness, let me do this and then I'm going to hurry. I'm not going to be an hour tonight. Broken consciousness is based in believing that, or believing the lie that a person or group or thing gives you value. That's what broken consciousness does. I call it female slave conditioning, where the world takes little girls and from a baby begins to send the message to her that, okay, if you're going to be of value, you got to have this or that. You got to belong to this, you got to connect to that, and you got to have this kind of, it's female slave conditioning. It's where the world strips you of your individuality, your independence, and the world makes you a helpless puppet in the hands of a toxic male culture. Broken consciousness. Now let me give you these. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 things I want to give you real quickly. The tragedy of a woman attaching her value to her relationship ends or leads to this. Number one, a desperate panic for any man. If you live with the mindset as a woman that if I don't have a relationship with a man, it's pointless. I can't be happy. I will be miserable. I'll never be fulfilled. It's going to lead you to a desperate panic for any man. Any man. He doesn't have to be a good man. He doesn't have to be a godly man. You just want any man. There's a desperate, it develops a desperate panic for any man. So now you are compromising. You've lost all of your values. You have given up on all of your standards. You just want any man, even a piece of man. Many of you ladies say, a piece of man is better than no man at all. I don't know where. Okay. A desperate panic for any man. You just out here in these streets, you just pulling them off the street. I see you, I want you, you gonna love me, you gonna love me, any man, you don't need no job, you don't have to, you don't have to have no relationship with God, you don't even have to respect me. You just come on here, you gonna be mine. You can have multiple women. I can know you got side chicks. Just come on here. It leads to desperate, and that's what I'm seeing today. I'm seeing, it's frightening what I'm seeing. I am seeing women of the highest order being managed and manipulated by clowns who have convinced you that a man that's not even a man in terms of his character is worth you almost begging and pleading, almost even being convinced that, for you to have a man, you got to expect that he's gonna cheat on you, and you got to be good with that. What kind of stuff is that? Because let me tell you something. Here's the reality. The most precious thing in the world to a real man is a woman. Now, if a man has a real woman that's going to hold him to task, she will get the best out of him. But if a man has a little woman that can tell him anything, or has a little woman that he can tell anything to, and she's struggling with that broken consciousness, and he can get over, he gonna probably start falling off. See, that woman I got on the other side of that wall there holds me accountable. And quite honestly, as a king, I wouldn't have it no other way. Because I need that. I need that accountability. I believe everybody needs that accountability. But when you have the mindset that your value is attached to a relationship with a man, you become so desperate for any man that you settle for things that Philippians 4:6-7 says, do not be anxious or worried about anything, but in everything, every circumstance and situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, continue to make your specific requests known to God. And then he says, in the peace of God, that peace which reassures the heart, that peace which transcends all understanding, that peace which stands guard over your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus is yours. But notice it starts off by saying, do not be anxious. You're never supposed to allow yourself to fall into a state of anxiety where you become desperate for anything. No. That's not the way God made you. That's not the way God made you. You're not supposed to be desperate for anything. You find your completion in God. In him we live, move, and have our being. And you find your fulfillment in what God has given you as an individual to do in life. And listen to this here. In Matthew 10:37, Jesus says, "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." What is he saying there? There's there's a place for God. You cannot make a God out of anybody. And when you become desperate, running behind relationships, what you're doing is you are making a God out of, because if you had God in his rightful place, there would be no desperation behind an individual. Is that resonating with anybody? Now, number two, when a woman attaches a value to her relationship, not only is there, number one, will there be a desperate panic develop for any man, but number two, you will develop a blind spot in your judgment regarding men. When you become desperate for a man, and you view a man rather as, the source of your value. If I don't have if I don't have a man, I don't have value. I'm only as valuable as my relational status. You will develop a blind spot in your judgment. Things that you normally would have been able to discern with your spirit or detect with your good brain will get by you when you have this mindset that my value is attached to my relational status. You will develop a blind spot in your judgment regarding men. This is how PhD women are manipulated by GED men. There's a blind spot in your judgment. The things you would have prayed about and discerned in the spirit, you don't pray no more because you're in that desperate mode. The things you would have thought through, you would have listened to what this person was actually saying, and you would have thought through and reasoned that thing out and had some questions to ask this individual. You ain't asking no questions now. You just shaking your head, yeah, because you feel like you need this person to give you value. So now you have these blind spots in your judgment. 1 John 4:1 says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit." Wow, there it is. Boy, the Bible, see, y'all got to understand, the Bible is not just, it's not just a bunch of stories. It's not just a bunch of Sunday school stories. The Bible is a document for successful living. Beloved, believe not every spirit. Let's just stop right there. Don't be so credulous. Don't be so gullible. Don't be so naive. That's what the Bible is saying. Don't take anybody for face value. And then look what he goes on to say. But try, test, prove the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. The Bible says, don't be so credulous, don't be so gullible and naive, but try, prove, test every spirit to see if this thing came from God or not. If you test this situation and you don't feel a peace about it, shut it down. You ain't got to even have, listen to me, you don't even have to have no hardcore evidence. You start out in a situation and there's something in your spirit that doesn't feel good about this, just shut it down on the friendship level. Shut it down in the friend zone and keep it moving. But he says, test the spirits. Don't allow these blind spots to develop. You gotta be able to test and prove to see if this thing really came from God or not. Now, here's a hard text here, and it's written directly straight at women. Listen to what it says in 2 Timothy 3:6-7. He says, "For among them are those," he just gets through talking about a generation of narcissistic people, men, And now he gets down here to verse 6 and he says, for among them are those who worm their way into homes and captivate morally weak and spiritually dwarfed women, women who have not developed their prayer life, and women who've allowed their morals to sink because they're in pursuit of something the world says is going to make them valuable. So they're morally weak and spiritually dwarfed, weighed down by the burden of their sins, easily swayed by various impulses, always learning and listening to anybody who would teach them, but never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Blind spots. Blind spots. Now, number 3. I only have 4. I'm not even a half hour yet, thank God. Tragedy of a woman attaching her value to her relationship. It creates a desperate panic for any man. Creates a blind spot in her judgment regarding men. And watch this, number 3. Here's a big one. When a woman begins to attach her sense of value to her relationship, it will lead her to providing value without price. Now, what do I mean by that? You will find yourself giving everything to a person that reciprocates nothing. You will give everything you have to a man that does not deserve anything. You are providing value without price. Okay, break it down even more for me, Pastor. I still don't get it. You will be a wife to a man that hadn't even brought you a promise ring. You will provide sex for a man that you're not married to. You will clean his clothes, clean his house, cook his food, be loyal to him while he's never loyal to you, never makes a commitment to you. Your broken consciousness has led you to a place now where you're providing value without price. How is it that the number one thing a man wants in this life is the body of a woman? He gets the cars and the money so he can do what? Attract the woman. He has to pay for the car. He has to pay for the house. He has to pay for the clothes. He has to pay for all of these things. But the main thing, he's buying all of this expensive stuff to attract. When the consciousness is broken, she comes and she gives herself for nothing. She provides value for nothing. The price you're seeking is not a dollar amount. You're not a prostitute. The price you're seeking is the commitment of a real man that recognizes your value and makes a decision to say, you're the one, you're enough. And until somebody can pay that price, you're supposed to withhold value. And you're not going to, when you're really walking in your queen consciousness, you're not going to be out here like the Chevy dealership, out here running sales every other weekend. No. We're not putting nothing on sale. We're going to be like the Bentley dealership or the Rolls Royce dealership that never slashes their prices, not even in a pandemic, because they understand their clientele is not the majority. They're not even seeking the majority. They don't even want the majority passing through their showroom floors. Their clientele understands value and they are prepared to pay the price. So you're not out here as a woman looking for quantity, you're waiting on quality. And while you're waiting, you're functioning in your purpose, you're accomplishing the things you need to accomplish, you're walking with God, you and the Creator, got it going on. You living your life and you balling out as an individual, and then voila, God brings you but you don't provide value. You don't provide value without price. A man has to pay the price to be able to say you in his bed. What's the price? You need that ring, homie. And not gonna just accept no ring because a man offered it. Got to be the right one offering you the ring. You got to be the husband. You're not gonna accept less than a husband because you're just desperate. Don't be so desperate that you accept less than a husband. You got to have a husband. A wedding don't make him a husband. A ring doesn't make him a husband. It may just be a massive manipulator that just want to play the long game with you. You need a husband. You need a man that brings a sense of security, stability. And watch this, the main thing about a husband is a husband lives his life in a way that you can trust him. And he doesn't have to ask you for your trust. He lives his life in a way that his life earns your trust. His life demands your trust. But you don't provide value without price. Okay, let me just read this here. Let me show you what I mean by this. Because some of y'all don't like when I talk like that. You say, well, I'm just old fogey and all of that, and I'm just a preacher. Well, I am. That's all I am, is a preacher. I'm not a coach. Not a coach. I'm not a relationship guru. I ain't no relationship guru. I just tell y'all what I've learned. I'm not no therapist. I'm not no counselor. I'm just a preacher and a man that get on here, hit the button, and I tell y'all the stuff I've learned and apparently worked for some of y'all. That's all I am. But look what 1 Corinthians 7:3-4 says. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power over his own body, but the wife. What is this talking about? It's talking about you don't owe nobody nothing. That's not your husband or your wife. Don't nobody have no rights to your body that has not come into covenant with you. You that doing all of this stuff here, that is value without price. The only man that has earned the right to access your body freely is the man that is your husband. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear that. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it, but I believe you need to hear it. And that's why I get on here and talk about it. Because y'all listening to all these people, man, these people so twisted up in the mind, and you doing nothing but just creating one soul tie after another, and you just digging yourself into a deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper emotional pit that's getting harder and harder and harder for you to dig your way out of. You're making a mess. At some point, you got to stop, time out, pause. You got to look and reflect and say, now what I've been doing for the last 10 years has not worked. Maybe I ought to do it God's way. Maybe I ought to get up out of these beds in all of these different hotels and bring my happy self home and get delivered, get my soul purged of all of these soul ties, and get back on track with my purpose and my creator so I'll be available when God sends the right man into my life. And stop being out here being a wife to all of these men that are not qualified to be a husband. Listening to all these clowns. Y'all are the most precious thing God created. And the mark of manhood is the protection of womanhood. Brother asked me one day, he said, well, how and that you always talking to the women and you trying to teach the women about, how to avoid the bad brothers. And you don't tell us how to avoid the bad women, which is a lie. I do talk to the brothers. Brothers just don't listen. I write books. They don't buy it. They don't read. 95% of my platforms is women on there. But then I gave him another reason. It's the nature of a man to protect a woman. It ain't the nature of no man to be out there trying to protect no man. A man is supposed to be able to protect himself. It's the nature of a real man to be on the side of a woman and to protect a woman. It ain't the nature of no man to be out there trying to defend. I'm going to defend the brothers. You better defend yourself. I ain't getting no fight for no man. If I'm going to go out like that, if I'm going to risk my life, it's going to be to protect a woman. It's my nature to defend the honor of women, especially now as a what? Mature man, as a man of God, as a man that's been on the other side. God set me free, and now God has set me in the earth to be a voice. That's why I do it. You can't be out there providing value without price. Ain't nobody supposed to be having no key to your house, running up in your house, sliding in your bed. It ain't your husband. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It ain't supposed to be. And I'm not just talking to the young women now. Some of you older, mature ladies out here got dudes with keys and all of this kind of stuff coming up in your house. And some of y'all got children up in there and got these men. You don't even know this man. You haven't even tried this man's spirit. You don't know what kind of spirit this man got. And you got them sliding up in your house. Just. Let me give you number 4 and let me get out of here because I feel myself. Number 4, she compromises when a woman attaches her sense of value to her relationship. Number 1, we said she develops a desperate panic for any man. Number 2, she develops a blind spot in her judgment regarding men. Number 3, she provides value without price. She plays wifey for a man that's not husband. And number 4, she compromises her standards to allow abuse. When you are living your life in a way that you view your relational status as being equated with your sense of value, you eventually sink to the place where you compromise your standards to the point that you allow abuse. You see, because the wrong man will play with your desires to manage your heart with promises that he never delivers. Once a man sees that, okay, she's attached her value to her relationship with me, he'll make promises to you that he'll never deliver on, and he'll manage your life, he'll manage your soul, your mind, your will, and your emotions, in other words, with those desires that you have, and because he sees that those desires are steeped in the idea that you're only as worthy as your relational status dictates. So he'll play with that. Oh, I think you wifey. I think you the one. Oh yeah, you the one. I've been searching high and low. I've been waiting to find the one. I think you the one. And then hear all that BS, and then you crying and all this kind of thing. Nothing but game going on. You crying and everything, and then that same night he done told you about you wifey, you the one. Now he done slid off in your bed, and he just feeding you that line. Yeah, you ain't met his mama. He say you go to church. You haven't been to his church. You ain't been to no office parties with him. You haven't even met his friends. But you the one, and he's sliding through on a schedule. Number 1, when a man really thinks you the one, he ain't gonna visit you on no schedule. He gonna try to occupy all of your time. He gonna be there all the time. He ain't gonna just pop in every 2 days, every 3 days. When man find the one, he wanna be with her every day, all day. He really does. He really does, until he learned better that he realize people need space. But he wants to be with you every day, all day. Listen to what the Bible says in Proverbs 13:12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. hope deferred, hope put off, promises that are constantly delayed makes the heart sick. So a toxic man will make promises, never deliver on them, because he understands that it creates a dysfunctional heart within you. And it brings you to a point where you begin to compromise your standards. And then what happens is he gradually abuses you more and more and more. It starts off with emotional abuse. Then it'll extend to verbal abuse. And if he's really that toxic, it could lead to physical abuse. And all of this, and you'll hang around for it. You'll hang around for it. And you'll act like you don't want him no more. I'm done with you. I'm out of here. But you never block him. You never delete his number. You never take back the key. And he keeps sliding in and out of your life. And it's just cycles of abuse, cycles of abuse, cycles of abuse. That's attached to what? A broken consciousness that says, yeah, but my value is tied up in this. My value is tied up in this. If I don't have this, I'm not worth as much. And so there you have it. That's what I wanted to give you all tonight. Now, and I want you to listen to me very well. Please listen to me very well. I believe with all of my heart that it's the intention of God to provide every person that desires a spouse, and is prepared for a spouse to have the right one. There are a lot of you who desire, but you're not prepared. And then there are a lot of you who desire, you're not prepared, and you're never available. Because you keep sitting these clowns on the throne where the king is supposed to sit. And you keep sitting the crown on this clown's head, calling him a king. Or vice versa. This goes for brothers as well. I believe it's the will of God to send the right person into our lives. But there's so few of us who are ever really available. You're either physically tied up with somebody in some sexual soul tie situation, or you're emotionally tied up with somebody. And all I'm saying to you tonight is, if you can really do the work to purify your heart and to get back to, the basics of who God created you to be, you can create a space where God can finally do the work. We have been trying to create relationships, and we've been making a mess of it. That's why we got so many divorces. That's why we got so much of this stuff going on. If you just do the work as an individual, if you as a woman do the work, if he as a man does the work, and both of you all are available, God can bring the two together like he did Adam and Eve, and the two become one. And you ain't got to compromise nothing when you get with the one that God has for you. So I love you all. Don't forget to stop by my website, rcblakes.com. Sign up for my mailing list. Check out the online programs. Go to Amazon. Check out all of my books. And just know I love you all, man. I really do. And when you don't hear from me, it's because I'm doing some things, And then I just like to wait to talk to you when I have something to talk about. I'm not like a lot of people just get on here just to, do whatever. I get on here because I feel a conviction to speak to you. And when I have something to talk about, then I hit the button. If I ain't got nothing to talk about, I ain't gonna hit the button. But I love you all. I really do. And I'm sure Lisa's in here tonight. I hope she is at least. Pray for me, pray for me, pray for me, and pray for my family. And I will be praying for you all. And go and think about what I said. Share this everywhere you possibly can. And we got 594 likes. We still got 1,464 people in here, but just 600 likes. I guess I'm just not doing a good job. I guess I'm just not doing a good job. I apologize. I love y'all. Have a good night.